welcome to another episode of Sports and Discourse with your host, Derek Stevenson. And man, oh man, I got to talk about how my Kentucky Wildcats let me down. And the reason why I'm angry, right? I'm angry because I really thought this was going to be our year. And I'm going to tell you why. So I'm sure, most people are aware, especially in my central Kentucky area, that last year was rough on us, right? We only won 9 games. The program was like at the bottom of the barrel, man. And we ended up losing some players, and the team was kind of looking a little thin, if you will, right? And a lot of people were kind of like, they really didn't know where the direction of the program was going next season. So, Calipari did what the one thing that people give him credit for is he brought some players in, right? So he ended up, he got a couple of decent freshman recruits like he always does. Head of that class, Ty Washington. And then he filled in his holes with some transfers, taking advantage of the new transfer portal, right? And he actually ended up landing us probably one of the best performing players that's ever put on a Kentucky uniform since I've been watching basketball, right? In Oscar Sheway. And I didn't know anything about Oscar before this season, to be honest with you. I don't really think he was making no noise. Some of his former coaches had some unfavorable things to say about the man. But when he got here and he got his second chance, man, if you want to talk about taking advantage of your second chance, probably nobody's ever done that better than he did, right? And he turned himself into a nationwide superstar, definitely a Lexington, Kentucky legend, right? And, we got Kellen Grady, a knockdown shooter. We got Severe Wheeler, a solid ball handler, a tough, gritty point guard. And we had some energy players like Toppin and Ware, some veteran leadership, Keon Brooks. So I was feeling real good about this team. I ain't going to lie to you. I went and watched the Kentucky Blue-White game, the scrimmage between the team. And I was really excited, man. I was impressed. And I felt like, I was like, okay, they look, pretty confident, pretty sure of themselves already. Because, see, the thing about Calipari's teams is normally he has a team all full of young players that was used to dominating high school. And it kind of takes him a little bit, maybe like the first half of the season to relearn how to play at a high level against good competition, right? So in the beginning of the season, Kentucky usually struggles a little bit, and then they start to really take shape, and the team starts to basically look like it's going to form into something contender-worthy, if you will, going into March, right? And early in the season, this team kind of showed signs that they could play with anybody in the country. Like right out the gate, they had to play Duke, and they lost, but they was competitive in the first half, really competitive. And they kind of dropped off a little bit in the second half and ended up losing. But I was like, okay, they look like they got a little something to work with. And then, we had moments during the season where when we played good teams, we stomped them. Like we destroyed Kansas. We destroyed North Carolina, destroyed Tennessee. Like we had some moments where we looked like when we hit on all cylinders, we would give any team the business, right? Any team. So when we started, whenever the seedings and things started coming out and the season was kind of winding down, I was looking at it like, oh yeah, this is our year. We about to make a run. And this is probably going to be the one for us, man. We about to hang number 9. That's what I was really thinking. And for some reason, the last couple of weeks in the season, they just started playing so bad, man. They couldn't really hit shots the way they normally did. And the thing is, if you look at like the overall numbers, they were actually a good shooting team, decent defensively. Like they still ended up winning a lot of games. Was pretty dominant at home. Overall, they still ended up having a really good season, which is what makes it so disappointing because they just couldn't cap it off. And look, I get it. Like, winning the championship is really hard to do, so it's not necessarily that I expected them to definitely win the championship, but I at least thought they was going to at least make some Elite Eight, possibly Final Four noise, right? I definitely didn't see them getting busted in the first round by St. Peter's, man. And if it wasn't for Oscar Tshiebwe, man, who knows, man? Because, regardless of how bad they started playing at the end of the season, he did everything in his power to try to carry them as far as he could, right? But towards the end of the year, he just was really the only person on the team that you just knew, like, even if he's playing bad, he probably still going to get you 13 to 15 points, probably 12 rebounds if he's playing bad, right? But if he's on point, then he got potential to give you 30 and 15, right? Like, that's what he was capable of. And, he was pretty consistently going to give you, numbers in that ballpark no matter who he played against, right? So I knew I could count on Oscar. But all out of nowhere, everybody else just started coming and going. Might play good one game, play bad the next. Might have a good half in the same game and then have a bad one, right? So it just kind of became one of those, like a crapshoot. Like, it's like, well, what team is going to show up tonight? How are these players going to play tonight? Are they going to turn the ball over? Are they going to hit shots? What they going to do, right? And, going into the SEC tournament, they played bad, right? And they got eliminated early. And then I was still trying to be hopeful. I was like, well, good for them to get there's always that saying, right? Well, go on and get your loss out of the way so you can rest a little bit and try to get prepared to win the big tournament, because I'd rather for them to win the national championship than win the SEC championship if I had to choose one, right? So I was trying to remain hopeful. I was like, all right, cool. We took the L. Take your asses home. Let's get ready, and let's go handle the business. And then, of course, one of the things that a lot of people that don't support Calipari hate about him, he did it again, right? So he comes out with this whole like, oh, I tweaked something in practice, right? And I love what I'm seeing, and I'm really liking how our teams looked, and this tweak is going to make all the difference. So he's hyping everybody up, which is what he always does, right? And then they fell on their face, right? And I kind of just wish that he would stop doing that. Stop hyping shit up so much, right? Because when you do that shit, then you get everybody on your head when you fall short, right? So just stop with the hype shit, man. Just do your thing. And I get it, man. Like, it's kind of a gift and a curse, because he's kind of brought so much positive attention to Kentucky by being the car salesman, is what they call him. But then there's kind of that negative side of it too, where it kind of hurts Kentucky, right? Kind of makes Kentucky unlikable, right? So anyway, so he does his thing. He's hyping shit up or whatever, and they get busted by the St. Peter's Peacocks, right? And I got to hear about this shit all day long. And especially what's pissing me off even more is I'm hearing about it from Louisville fans, right? And I'm talking about the same Louisville fans that recently had a championship vacated. They had a coach cheating scandal. They had a stripper scandal. They had an Adidas scandal. They banned from the NCAA tournament. Their AD and president left. They had all of these things happen to their program. Not to mention their basketball team was trash this year, along with their football team being trash this year. All of these things happened to this program, but right in the midst of us getting busted, they hired Kenny Payne, right? And for those of you that don't know, Kenny Payne is our guy. Like, Kenny Payne graduated from Louisville, but he's our guy, right? Kenny Payne is a Kentucky Wildcat. I don't care what nobody says. He's from the Calipari umbrella. He had taken an assistant job up with the New York Knicks, and I knew Louisville was going to hire him, man. And I ain't going to lie to you, man. I'm going to keep it 100 with you. It kind of scares me a little bit because I feel like he is going to get some top-notch talent over at Louisville, man. Now, does it guarantee that he's going to be successful? Not necessarily. It's harder than it looks, even with talent. Coach K's finding it out. Penny Hardaway is finding it out. Calipari is already known. Kenny Payne is already known because he sat over on the bench with Calipari, so he knows how difficult it is. So it doesn't guarantee that he's going to turn Louisville into a powerhouse. But if I had to bet, I say he might. I mean, that was the guy that I wanted to take Calipari's place, actually. Like, when Calipari stepped down from Kentucky, I wanted Kenny Payne to be up next, right? So in the midst of all of this, us taking our L to St. Peter's, they hire Kenny Payne, and now his fans are just going crazy. And I got to listen to the bullshit all week long. And it's really annoying, right? And everybody's loving it. In my area, the Duke fans are loving it. The North Carolina fans are loving it because there's so much division in Big Blue Nation right now. Because on the one hand, you got a lot of people that just want Calipari gone, right? And I don't understand why you want the man gone. To be honest with you, see, here's how I look at it, right? Kentucky basketball is 100 years old, and we only got 8 championships in 100 years, right? One of them belongs to Calipari, right? So in his 12 years coaching here, he's won us a championship. He's been to like 4 Final Fours. He always keeps the program, except for like maybe 2 years, they were always top 25 caliber program. Several years, they looked like they was championship ready, even though they came up short a couple times, but they've had a lot of opportunities. So overall, he's been extremely successful at Kentucky, right? I mean, extremely successful. But there's just something about Kentucky fans. Kentucky fans really do be thinking that they're supposed to win the championship every year. Not me, because realistically, I mean, if we got 8 in 100 years, man, then how often do you really think you're going to win the championship, right? If you get one every 15 to 20 years, you kind of got to be cool with that, right? Because nobody else is really doing it like that. I mean, yeah, some of the other programs like Duke and North Carolina and Villanova, they might have won multiples here recently, right? But they're not on 8 overall, right? So they just kind of been having some success. They had most of their success over the last like 40 to 50 years, right? But a lot of Kentucky fans really be like ready to snap if they don't win the championship every year. And as unrealistic as that seems, it is kind of unfortunate because I'm starting to even feel like I'm sliding over to that side a little bit, right? Because I always defend Calipari. Like, I defend Calipari like I'm his son, bro. Like, I'm going to keep it 100 with you, right? I really be riding for Calipari because I really appreciate and respect what he done for Kentucky, right? And he never really lied to nobody, right? Like, you know, if you go back and watch his introduction to Kentucky, right? The first thing he said was, "I'm players first." And that was all good. Like, people probably just glossed over him saying that because he was bringing John Wall, he was bringing Boogie, he was bringing Bledsoe. Like, he was bringing all of these people with him to Kentucky, right? And, you know, the first year, they ended up getting like 5, I think it was 5 players drafted in the first round or something crazy like that. So, like, Kentucky fans was juiced up to the max, man. Like, they was like, oh, yeah, it's about to be a wrap. We taking over college basketball. And like I said, we ended up getting our championship because he kept bringing the all-star freshmen in, and eventually he got you know, a nice little core of players where he didn't have any holes. The worst thing you could say about our championship team when we won in 2012 was they didn't really have a deep bench. They was only like about 7 players deep, but that 7 was a strong 7, and they washed everybody. I think they ended up losing 2 games or something like that. They lost. One of them was the last second shot to Indiana, but they was washing everybody. It just was what it was. When that team came out on the court, I knew it was a wrap. I said, we winning the championship this year, and they won it, right? And that's kind of the way he introduced himself to the program. He said, I'm going to just focus on getting players drafted, and eventually it'll fall into place and we'll win a championship, right? And it happened. It was true. Everything fell into place and we won a championship. And we've had countless number of NBA dudes or players go from Kentucky and have prosperous NBA careers, right? Like if you look at the amount of money or the salary that all of the players from Kentucky are making, I think it's over $1 billion, man. And, that was several years ago. It might even be more closer to $2 billion now because a lot of his players make a shit ton of money in the NBA. It just is what it is. Nobody does that better than he does. A lot of coaches don't prepare their players to get the money like Cal does. So I understand why, it always helps him with his recruiting because his track record on that note is undeniable. He is the absolute number one best guy at that. But on the other hand, a lot of Kentucky fans still want players that care about Kentucky basketball first, right? And unfortunately, I just don't really think that's how basketball works anymore. Like, I don't think the tradition of these top schools like UCLA and Duke and North Carolina, Kentucky, Kansas, those type of schools, I don't really think it hits the same way it used to hit because I don't think kids grow up wanting to play for these schools, really. I think they grow up and they want to play for coaches that's going to get them to the NBA, right? But the difference between Calipari and the other coaches are a little bit more willing to change their style to fit the team, to make the team more successful for the college, right? And Calipari just will not do that. Calipari coaches NBA style offense and defense. And it helps his players tremendously. He's even had some 4-star players like Tyler Hero and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander that came into the program and then go to the NBA and play at a high level, right? So his offense and defense does prepare these kids very well for the next level, but we don't really get to see the benefit of it here at Kentucky. And I think it's starting to wear thin on the fan base, right? Now, if, we want, like I said, some people think the man should have won 4 championships at Kentucky already. If he would have won 4, I don't think anybody would care, but we only won 1. So it's starting to get to the point where I think it's wearing people out, right? And you hear all these people say, I never even get to know these players, and I want to get to know them and see them grow and see them develop. I don't really even care about that. I just want us to win more because we starting to let some of these schools catch up, and I don't like it. Like Duke and North Carolina is catching up with the championships. Kansas caught us in wins at the time of this recording. So, I don't like that, man. It's starting to, the gap is starting to get narrow because don't get it twisted. In my eyes, we still here and everybody else is still here, but it's just starting to get a little more closer, man. And I just don't like it. And it's starting to make me lean a little bit more towards some of the other fan base because even though, like I said earlier, Calipari ain't never lied to Kentucky fan base. He's always kept it 100. But I do think there's moments where he might have to scratch that and just try to win some games for Kentucky, man. Like, you got to try to do both. I think some of these players are good enough that you can do both, right? Like, you can prepare them for the NBA, but you might have to do a little, like the tweaks that he's talking about tweaking. You might have to do a little more tweaks in the game to make these boys win the game that they're playing in today instead of being able to win games in the NBA in the future, right? I know a lot of people were saying that, with 20 seconds left, he should have called a timeout and tried to draw up a play to get a better shot at the end of the game. And I'm going to be honest with you, man. There's two sides to that coin for me, right? There's one side where I feel like St. Peter's has a really good half-court defense, right? So if you got some super stud basketball players that you know can get you a good shot and shoot at a high percentage, it might be a good idea for you to try to set up a play and challenge them. But if you're not really for sure, if you got the type of ball players where you know you can get a good shot, it might not be a great idea to let them set up on D because they might lock you down even worse. The bad part about it was he let them run to try to stop the defense from setting up, and they still didn't get a good shot, right? Wheeler ended up driving to the basket, and he was losing his footing. He was a little out of control, and he ends up throwing like a pass from underneath the basket out to the three-point line to a player that's not really open, and we ended up taking a fourth shot and end up going into overtime, right? But at that point in the game, I still wasn't even really tripping because I was like, all right, well, we got it now. Like, Kentucky players was looking a little gassed, but I still was like, all right, we definitely going to crack them in overtime, right? Like, St. Peter's is going to fold. And it was the exact opposite. We folded. We took like 6 free throws and missed all 6 of them. And, man, it was just like, come on, man. All 6 of them. And Kentucky's not a bad free throw shooting team. They actually got solid free throw shooters. And we missed all 6 of them, man. And it just ended up working out to the point where we just had to cap the season off with one of the most disappointing losses that we may have ever had in the school, man. And it just really looks bad right now. And then on top of that, we got the number 1 recruit in the country, Shaden Sharp, sitting on the bench. And all year long is going back and forth. Like, is Shaden going to play? Is he looking good in practice? Or maybe he's not looking so good in practice. Maybe he's thinking about suiting up. Then, again, he's not going to end up playing. Now he's testing the NBA waters. Is he going to come back? Is he going to leave? So the whole situation with Shaden Sharp was just becoming a little annoying because it's like, bro, are you playing for Kentucky or not, man? And, like, God bless the kid. Like, I hope, he goes to the NBA and has a super successful career. He kind of reminds me of like Anthony Edwards that plays for the Timberwolves. Like a big, strong guard that's going to be able to, like, once he becomes a great shooter, he's going to be able to take people to the rack and destroy them at the rim, but he's going to be able to shoot outside. Like, I feel like he's going to end up, he has star potential, right? He has next level star potential from what I've seen of his high school clips and things like that. But it's just kind of frustrating because it's like, well, what was the point of him even being here for a Kentucky fan, right? Like, I know how it helped him and, what it done for him, but it didn't really do nothing for Kentucky. So it's like, it's kind of like, what's the point of having the number 1 recruit on your bench if you never get to see him in a uniform and then he just goes to the pros? It's like, well, come on, man. And so that's another thing that's just disappointing fans, man. It's like, it's so much that's going on with the program, and there's a lot of people saying they want him to be fired and different that. And here's the thing, man. I don't think it's any possible way they can fire the man because, number 1, they just owe him too much money, right? So I think when he signed his contract, the way it works out, it's like an $80 million contract or $89 million contract or something like that, right? So he's supposed to be getting roughly like for at least the next 4 years, 4 or 5 years, or maybe it's 3 or 4 years, but he's going to be getting like $8.5 million, right? Which is a lot of money. And if they buy him out, they got to pay him $42 million to buy him out, man. And I think if they was to actually buy him out at $42 million, it might end up being the biggest buyout in sports history, man. And I just I don't understand why you would buy him out. Because I just don't know who are you going to get to replace him that'll do better at this point? Like, yeah, you might can get a better X and O coach, if you will. Somebody that draws up plays a little better, or somebody that might make some little adjustments in game a little bit better. But I don't really know who the guy is. Like, if you want to fire Coach Cal and then go pay Kenny Payne and steal him from Louisville, I'm good with that. Like, go get him. Like, I'll take Kenny Payne, steal him right from Louisville today. I'll support it. But if you're not doing that, like, who we getting? You know, Coach K is about to retire. He would never leave Duke. Overrated Tom Izzo, in my opinion. He's stamped in at Michigan State. He's probably never going to coach anywhere else but there. I ain't really a big fan of Bill Self. Jim Boeheim's older. I don't see him going nowhere. Jay Wright, I don't know. I don't know if he would leave Villanova or not. He might. He might leave for Kentucky if you offered him the job. He could be like a great replacement in my eyes. But outside of that, like, I don't know. Like, you know, is it somebody out there that I'm missing? If it is, tell me who it is. Like, who, if you was going to replace Cal, who you replacing him with? Let me know, because I don't know who the guy is. So, to me, I just feel like at this point, at least for the next 4 or 5 years, I don't really see any way out of it, right? Like, we just got to ride the wave with Cal. I just hope that he finds some way to please the fans and still develop the players, right? Because I do want the kids to be successful, right? I do want the kids to be able to come here and grow and develop and go to the NBA and become star players in the NBA. I really do want that. But I want to see a couple more banners, man. Like, I've been lucky, you know, I done seen some strong Kentucky teams. You know, I done seen, how many championships I see? I done seen 3 championships. You know, I saw 96, 98, 2012. We almost had one in 97, you know. I seen some strong Kentucky teams. I seen enough to where I'm good, like, if I never get another one. But I don't want it to be over now. I don't want 2012 to be the last one. I want to see a couple more, man. Like, I want to see us get to 10 or 12 before I'm out of here. You know what I'm saying? But who knows, man? Who knows what's going to happen? But I just need my guy to maybe try to consider just using more in-game strategy than he been using, man, and cut all the used car salesman bullshit, right? Fuck all of that, man. Like, just coach, man, and just represent Kentucky the right way. Like, and I don't mean that, like, I don't think he's a bad representative of Kentucky. Like, I like the man, but I just need the man to just build some strong teams and get us some more banners, man. Like, at least give me some more Final Fours, man. I need a championship, but at least get me back to the Final Four in the next couple of years, man. And I know that like I said, last year was a rough year, man. So I know that we got to build ourselves back up from that. But, man, we got the resources, man. We got the money. We got to get them NIL deals out there. We got the facilities. We got the tradition. We got the elite coach. Whether you think he deserves it or not, he's a Hall of Fame elite status coach. Man, we got to start using all of that to build the championship caliber teams, man, because if not, it's just going to be ugly, and I just ain't trying to hear no more of this shit off of these Louisville fans and these Tennessee fans and these Duke fans. Like, I don't want to hear no more shit off of these garbage-ass programs, man. Like, I'm done with those programs, right? So, Cal, man, just let's get back, man. Like, shake it off, man. You know, I heard he had a meeting with Mitch Barnhart. So hopefully they working it out. They discussing what needs to be done. And, you know, don't keep writing the bullshit excuses and the little releases on social media about how you take all the responsibility and all that. Like, we get it, bro. We appreciate that. Of course, you're not putting it on the kids. Like, you are an honorable dude. So I appreciate that you didn't put it on the kids, man. But, like, let's get busy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you making the big bucks, bro. Like, let's get busy. Let's pay that off, man. Like, I don't mind you making 8.5. Like I'm happy for you. Like that's great. Like you deserve it. But come on, man. Let's keep it going, man. Like you got to keep Kentucky at the top, man. Like I seen Kentucky fall off in the the early 2000s, man. Kentucky fell off for a little bit, and then you brought them back, man. You put life back into the program, and now it's kind of starting to seem like it's falling off again, even though, like I said, technically we had a good season. We just ended it ugly. But yeah, man, I just need you to just do your thing, man, and get back to that. You got to restore the feeling, man. Like it don't feel the same as when you first got here, man. I need you to just bring it back, man. Like you got to get people excited. You got to get the players feeling like this is the one, man, and you got to start winning some big games, brother. And you got to start taking over. Coach K is already dipping. Like he's not gonna be here next year. North Carolina got Hubert Davis, so they ain't established right now. Kansas is they probably feeling the same way down there that we feel. Jay Wright's doing his thing, man, but realistically, man, it's like college basketball is yours for the taking, man. Like it's setting up for it to be your time to just take it over, man. So you got to get busy, big dog, man. And like I said, man, I love you. I always support you, man. You one of my favorite coaches that I ever seen at Kentucky, man. So I'm always try to support you as much as I can, man. But there's only so much I can do, man. And sometimes, I just got to sit back and shut up. Like right now, I can't defend you too much because it's just one of those moments where I got to shut up. I mean, you lost to the St. Peter's Peacocks, man. Like what? I mean, I'm trying my best, but it's only so much I can do, man. So anyways, man, just do your thing, Cal. And we'll get back at it, man. Sports and Discourse. Derek Stevenson.